morning, everybody, and welcome to another in a series of the SkySwitch webinars. I'm Andy Abramson, and I always enjoy having so many of our reseller friends who really feel like family to us here on the regularly scheduled SkySwitch webinar series. This one is a little different because it's really aimed at our Canadian resellers, and we've been expanding thanks to the help of Kevin Lanford, who is our superstar up in Canada, who has really done a good job since he came on board at increasing the number of resellers and helping you, our resellers, do a better job up north of the border. That's right, SkySwitch is now an international company and has been for quite a few years. But with Kevin joining, we really have increased our efforts up there. Today, we're going to be joined by our good friends from Datagate. And this is all about integrated telecom billing solutions for you, because Datagate not only works in the US, they work in Canada as well. We pride ourselves on having a rich and robust cloud communications platform that acts as a one-stop shop for all of our resellers, not just the ones in the US, but also the ones in Canada. That's why we asked Datagate CEO and good friend Mark Lovies to join us today to inform you on how Datagate has everything required to really make telecom billing fast, easy, profitable, and most of all, compliant in a one-stop SaaS telecom platform for MSPs and resellers just like you. We're going to take a deep dive into how Datagate helps all unified communications resellers in Canada save innumerable countless hours by addressing how the unique telecom billing challenges can be solved with a true integrated solution that combines SkySwitch with Datagate, with ConnectWise, with QuickBooks, and with Connect Booster. So if you're using any of those services, especially QuickBooks, because I'm talking with Kevin, he says most of the billing is done by QuickBooks. Datagate is going to make your life a lot easier. We're going to cover a bunch of things today. And by the way, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A, not in the chat, because as you're asking questions, we might be able to answer them. Because Mark is just so smart and so nimble and so quick. We're going to talk about what Datagate is. We're also going to address the general billing challenges that you face in selling voice over IP regarding usage rating, pricing flexibility, invoice formatting, and even rekeying data. We also want to address some of the unique challenges that Canadian resellers have versus US when it comes to tracking and applying the correct provincial taxes, as well as other taxes that exist in Canada, in a fully brandable and bilingual invoicing platform. Because yes, we recognize that when you're dealing with Quebec, you must be able to have things in both French and English. We're also going to address how Datagate is able to see these challenges, take them on, and give you solutions. Billing flow with Datagate, how the invoice data travels across the integrated solution from SkySwitch to Datagate. We're going to do a deep dive into Datagate's integration with ConnectWise and what information can be passed between those two systems. And we're also going to see a preview of Datagate's latest PSA integration, Autotask. And at the end, if Mark hasn't completely informed you and told you everything you need to know, we're going to have a Q&A. So without any further ado, let me bring on Mark Lovies from Datagate, the CEO, and a dear friend of SkySwitch and of mine. Mark, welcome this morning.
Thank you, Andy. What a fantastic introduction. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here. I'm actually calling in from the Okanagan region in Canada. It's beautiful weather here, and so really enjoyed the opportunity to talk with you and the Canadian SkySwitch community this morning. Thank you.
Well, it's great that you're here. We also have with us Kevin Langford, our Canadian channel manager, SkySwitch. Hello, Kevin.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am fine. Sarah's my dad. I'm Andy.
There you go, Andy. How's everything down in Vegas?
Everything is hot and getting hotter. I feel like I'm in a furnace. I walk outside, I think I'm a pizza.
There you go. Just come up to Canada. It's nice and cool.
I would love to come up to Canada, but the border is still closed. I mean, my passion for wine would have me right up in Mark's backyard drinking wine with him at this time of the year.
Yep, that would be great.
Mark, why don't we dive in the interest of time, because we've got our resellers listening in. Why don't you tell us all about Datagate?
Excellent, thank you. So Datagate is a software as a service. It's a telecom billing solution that is designed especially for MSPs. So it's different from other billing solutions in that it's primarily focused on telecom, it's primarily focused on MSPs, and it's a very tight partner with SkySwitch. So in thinking about what the MSP audience wants from a billing solution, we integrate with the software that's important to MSPs. That includes ConnectWise, QuickBooks. It includes Autotask, which we're just adding next month. That's the newest one. Xero, the payment processing engines that are popular with MSPs as well. And for the Canadian market, of course, we support producing invoices in the French language, and we have MSPs using our product in Canada and in the United States as well. So we even offer that ability to cross-border if people want to do that. If they want to have customers in both countries, that's an option as well.
If you're doing cross-border billing, and that was a question that came up when we were doing our prep, are you giving them a combined invoice, or are you giving them a US dollars invoice and a Canadian dollars invoice?
Yes, we would actually give them the two different invoices, because generally the accounting is done separately in both countries for most MSPs, we find. So we would set them up with a US invoicing capability and a Canadian invoicing capability, and they can both be connected to the same SkySwitch account.
That makes it a little more complicated on the payment end, or does it make it less complicated on the payment end?
It actually makes it less complicated, because we can actually combine through the same payment receiving accounts. There's numerous different ways of configuring Datagate and payment solutions, and we aim to offer the most flexibility to the MSP of how they want to plumb it, connect everything together. So, but generally, if you're invoicing in Canadian dollars and US dollars, there's generally two payments involved, one in each currency.
And then it ultimately settles out.
Yes.
Do you think in the future, at some point, you'll be able to actually do combined billing, where the person can pay in either US or Canadian dollars, and then it'll just settle automatically against the total? Or is that just, because I know QuickBooks can't even do this, which is why I'm saying maybe Datagate can do something that even QuickBooks can't do.
Well, we're always looking at these challenges. I mean, we're that's really our purpose in life, is examining all of these things and what can we do that makes things easier and saves time for MSP. So that's something that potentially, if we get demand for it, we'll put effort into that. But that's right now we have the ability to offer an MSP the ability to transact in both countries, and so we, of course, can handle the United States telecom taxes, and we have partners in the United States that can help with filing those taxes as well. So I think the nice thing is that SkySwitch is in both countries, and so is Datagate, and so together we can actually offer a solution that works on both sides of the border, if that should become something that MSPs are interested in doing, expanding their coverage.
That's great. Well, let's move on to the next slide.
Excellent. Thank you. So basically, the challenges we see for MSPs when they're selling voice over IP or UCaaS, firstly, there's the rating of calls. So we at Datagate, we can just take the SkySwitch call detail information, and we can rate it, the international call rating, toll-free charges, the 1-800 numbers, etc. We can enable MSPs to bill like a large telco. They can do all the same sort of plans. We can format the invoice to look like a telecom invoice. Again, looks like it come from a big telco. We can control the pricing for each and every customer, or we can have so individual plans or plans that span lots of customers. And the main thing is that we save the MSP from having to rekey information from one system to another. So that's why we focus so much on integrations, and that is to to make sure that wherever possible, the software can talk to each other.
That's great. And with all this integration going on, does it require a lot of work on the reseller end, or what level of work does the reseller need to do, or is it simply click and play?
Well, once it's all configured, it's all click and play. So when somebody signs up for Datagate with their SkySwitch system, it all gets configured together. It's a process that's actually run by William Brister and his team at SkySwitch, and they plug everything in together and make sure it's all talking to each other. And it really does become one, once the training's being done, you know how to, which buttons to push, make things work. It's quite a simple process. Yeah, it makes it very easy and quick. Saves many hours of work each month.
What do you think are the biggest billing challenges?
Well, I think the biggest challenges are things like the fact that Telecom is a recurring service, and that it's happening every month. You've got to pump out a lot of invoices, and so you need to have things as automatic as possible. So what MSPs tell us are the biggest challenges are rekeying. You do not want to be rekeying with recurring services. It's because it's a thankless job that happens all the time, every month. It introduces errors, all that sort of thing. So that's why integrations are up there, with the really main benefits of Datagate. And also, I think the ability to do call rating, to not have to use spreadsheets and things like that for doing all the calculations, and being able to compete, with other with the large telcos that just specialize in rolling all of these telecom services out. It's a great environment we're in today that MSPs can actually beat the large telcos so often. You've got a closer relationship to the customer. So it is a lot of opportunity there. And realizing that I'm doing a lot of the talking, I might just hand over to Kevin. Would you agree? And do you see what do you see as the main challenges, Kevin, that people are saying to you?
To be honest, is the unrated calls are a big time factor. A lot of times people just ignore them. It's only 30 cents or it's $3. It's not worth their time. But at the end of the day, that adds up really quick. And sometimes, I got some prospects. One of them on the West Coast, he spends a couple dozen days a month trying to invoice and calculate. And with a Datagate solution, all of that would be reduced down to a couple hours a month.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, that's always interesting when that happens. Kevin, what questions are resellers asking you about billing? That way we can help Mark through the rest of the presentation. What's the recurring question you keep hearing about billing?
ACH credit cards are the big ones. What currency can we bill out? What languages are the invoice? Can I customize rate plans to the umpteenth degree, where I have 5 users with X amount of minutes and this amount of users with this amount of minutes? The creativity and diversity that I see with the requests of all the different rate plans are things that I throw at Mark and his team, and I haven't had a no come back to me yet.
Absolutely, very good. Yeah, so we're tuned into these questions as well. We're always communicating with Kevin and with MSP and SkySwitch, and yeah, we like to stay on top of right solutions for MSPs for billing and telecom.
How's the billing flow work?
Right, it's a good question. So we like to use diagrams at Datagate, so it makes it easier to explain how everything plugs together. And this is one of our favorite diagrams. So really, if I just work through how Datagate sort of talks with SkySwitch and to start with, and we can go through how it talks to the other software packages. So looking at how Datagate works, start off with our connection to SkySwitch. So throughout the month, we're collecting call detail records from SkySwitch. This happens in the background. The MSP doesn't need to think about it. So we have that connection, and as the call detail records come in to Datagate, we validate them. We make sure that everything is how we expect, and that the phone calls that are coming in have got a pricing plan attached, that we recognize the DIDs, and that they've happened in the time duration that we would expect them to happen. So validation is happening throughout the month to make sure that there's no sort of last minute problems at the end when you come to do the billing. So then we take all this usage information and we can rate it according to pricing plans that we've configured, that the MSP has configured for how the calls will be treated. So they can be bundled, there can be capped plans with overage charges. We can have bundling with other services. All the different things that the big telcos do, we can do it as well with our MSP audience. So yeah, so it really makes it easier to generate those telecom invoices. And when you press the button to make it generate, it's going to apply whatever logic you've applied for each customer.
That's excellent. That's excellent. When you're doing all this, the data flow and it goes in, is all the data encrypted?
Yes, it's encrypted, in secure connections, and so we've made an environment. We run on Microsoft Azure, and we keep it secure, and the connection is it's a secure connection between systems. So,
with a socket connection that's secure between the two, and then everything rests in the Azure cloud. And once it's in Azure, obviously Microsoft's protecting it.
Absolutely. So,
and then and then obviously it's well protected on the SkySwitch side.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then when you send the invoice to the customer, is that going to them by email as a PDF or in some other format?
Yes, generally a PDF. So the PDF can have the format that the MSP wants it to look like. So it can be heavily tailored to the look and feel, their branding, etc. It goes directly as an invoice PDF on an email as an attachment. And that's just one big process that goes through. We monitor the email to make sure that it got through. If it failed for any reason, that will show up on the dashboard of Datagate that this email didn't get through, and the MSP has the opportunities to try resending it again, or change the email address, or even print it and post it, or have it, whatever they want to do to remedy that situation that the email's not getting through.
And then all this invoicing is, being that most of the resellers are using QuickBooks, how's the invoicing align with QuickBooks, and what does the reporting look like for the person using QuickBooks? What are they seeing?
Right, excellent. I mean, so Datagate generates the invoice, and then obviously it can send it out to the customer. I say it can send it because some people have different mechanisms in place already for sending invoices out to their customers. So again, we like to be compatible with what the MSP wants to do. But generally, after the invoice has been sent to the customer, it can be then sent to the back office accounting system, and that most usually is QuickBooks. We also support the Xero accounting system. That's Xero with an X. And we also support ConnectWise, and we're about to, next month, we're supporting Autotask as well. So these are environments that MSPs use generally in the background for their accounting, and we pass the invoice through API connection. So it's an API connection to QuickBooks Online, API connection to Xero. If we don't have an API connection, we can do this via file transfer as well. So we can export a CSV file, and that can be adapted to nearly any accounting software format that's needed. So there's depending on what's being used in the back office. If it's QuickBooks, that's good news. We do that all the time, and Xero and ConnectWise and Autotask, they're all API integration. So it's a fast connection.
It's so nice to see you using the ability to integrate into Xero. Most people probably don't know what Xero is in North America. It has a lower profile than Intuit's QuickBooks, but around the world, it's one of the fastest growing cloud-based, cloud native software packages ever built, whereas QuickBooks was ported over from desktop and shared hosting. Xero is a new from the ground up. They've been around about half a dozen years or so. And from the people I know who've used it, once you get on Xero, you never go back to QuickBooks. It's kind of like, Apple versus Windows. You just never want to go back to it.
So yeah, so Xero is the interestingly, it's sort of the market leader in Australia, New Zealand, UK, and it's becoming very popular in Canada as well. It is available in the United States. But obviously QuickBooks is the biggest player in North America. But I think Xero is getting there as well, and it's a very nice interface, very nice system to use. So yeah, but we, really from Datagate's perspective, we're very customer driven, and we're really monitoring what our MSP customers are using, and we follow. But so it's obviously QuickBooks Online is becoming also very popular as well. So so that integration.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the two-way flow of information, the bi-directional nature of Datagate, and how it's able to pull information and what it's also able to do?
Excellent. Yeah. So good question. So with the integration, it's more than just pushing data into the accounting system. We like to also extract information from the accounting system. So primarily that's customer details. So with an accounting system like QuickBooks or Xero, we will read back the account information. So when you update account details inside QuickBooks or Xero, QuickBooks Online, I should emphasize, QuickBooks Online is our API integration. We will read back the customer details, and this prevents you having to update two systems. And when you enter a new customer or update a customer, it also means that the two systems, when you first plug in your Datagate system, if you've got your accounts already set up inside QuickBooks, we can just read it all through in one hit when we turn on the Datagate product. So it's very nice for getting the system up and running very quickly. And if you're using a PSA system like ConnectWise Manage or Autotask, the same thing. We can read customers in from that. We can also read agreement information. So if you happen to be using ConnectWise or Autotask, and you're setting up your agreement inside that PSA system, we can read that pricing information back into Datagate, so you do not have to rekey it all back in again. We can also read in product information again, so you do not have to rekey it. So that's really the theme of what we're really aiming for with Datagate, is to make it as automatic as possible, so you do not have to rekey things.
Can you talk a little bit of how you're able to push the data to ConnectWise? Because I know you have multiple ways of dealing with it, and as ConnectWise expands more across the border, just like SkySwitch is, ConnectWise may be a useful platform for our Canadian resellers to be involved with.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, we find that the ConnectWise platform very popular with MSPs, and we find that with ConnectWise, and for that matter Autotask, the way they like to price their and set up their agreements, they like to have one place that's the central repository of information, and it's usually the PSA system. It's ConnectWise Manage or Autotask, and so they like to have all of their staff being able to just go to one place to find everything out about what's going on with a customer. They want to see everything in one place. So that is really I guess the goal with Datagate is to not only read from agreements, generate the invoice, but also to put it back into the PSA, so that and we can update the agreement inside ConnectWise or Autotask, so that the staff in the company can just look into that one place. So it doesn't matter whether it's a telecom invoice or whether it's an IT invoice or whatever's being done. It's all going to be there inside the PSA system, and then it all from there gets passed on to the accounting system. So it minimizes the amount of staff training that you have to do. Really, if they're already using ConnectWise or Autotask, then they've got one place to go to find everything out.
But you're also able to update the agreement, which is, paramount, because as resellers add different licenses within SkySwitch or increase the number of seats they're using, agreements have to be updated from time to time. And by doing the work inside Datagate, everything stays in one place, it sounds like.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, we give the choice to the MSP as well, whether they want to update the telecom agreements inside ConnectWise or inside Datagate. So we do give them the choices. I guess the emphasis from us is, how do we help this MSP effectively, efficiently process telecom billing with minimal disruption to their business, with minimal changes for what their staff have to learn, and their process flow. So we do give options of where you can input things.
Mark, can you pull up an example of what a Datagate generated invoice looks like? And then also right behind that, maybe show what the differences are between that and, say, ConnectWise.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the Datagate invoice, I don't actually have an actual invoice here, but the Datagate invoice can really look how the MSP wants it to look. So, and obviously we have templates and things to make invoice formats very quickly, using the logo and the billing, the identity of the MSP, and having all the sections that you normally see in your phone bill. So basically, give us a phone bill and we can produce the same thing for you as an MSP. In Canada, we also have the requirement, for bilingual, and actually Kevin has done a very nice job for us here with French language skills, and so Datagate can produce invoices in either language or even both languages. It really comes down to how you set up the template for the invoice that's produced. And Kevin, I must say thank you for helping us with this slide.
How about the French pronunciation there, Mark, as we agreed?
Well, it's a little bit early in the morning for me, and I haven't done my Duolingo course this morning. I am learning French, of course, and like I say, merci beaucoup to you, Kevin, for putting this French here and demonstrating that we can produce invoices in Français and Anglais. So that's just Kevin, could you please read that to us? So
Vous pouvez actuellement créer des factures en français et ou en anglais. Bientôt disponible, le portail Datagate traduit en français.
Merci beaucoup. Well, thank you. Yeah. So really, yeah, we can produce the invoices in French and English, and it is on our roadmap to change the user interface to be able to be translated in future as well. So right now, the user interface of Datagate is in the English language, but we can produce documents in any language or any combination of languages, and so we can produce documents in French, and of course in the format of telecom invoices.
Why don't you show the ConnectWise format?
The ConnectWise format. Actually, do we have that on here?
I thought you were, but if not, maybe just explain how ConnectWise integration works so that
the
reseller can approach it just like any other service they might be selling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. I don't have just going to your previous question. I don't have a ConnectWise format on hand, okay. But what I can say is generally the PSA systems like ConnectWise, Autotask, the invoices they produce are IT invoices. They look great. They do the right job for an MSP selling IT services. The Datagate invoice is more of a telecom invoice. So if I was showing you the two side by side, you'd see a telecom invoice and you'd see an IT invoice, and so we have the ability to make the invoice look right and look like it's come from a telecom provider. So in terms of Yeah. So in terms of, sorry, the next question. So in terms of the, I guess the ecosystem of ConnectWise, this is one of the really nice things, if you are using ConnectWise, is that not only are we integrating with ConnectWise Manage, but we're also enabling all other software that works with ConnectWise to work with Datagate. I shouldn't say all, but a lot of the other software. And this includes ConnectWise Sell, which is used for creating quotes, and you can quote telecom projects just the same way that you can quote IT projects as well. So so that actually extends the whole solution out. We also have integrations through ConnectWise partners like Quota.com. That's a very popular quoting solution with the SkySwitch community. So that's something that we've also integrated in the same way here as ConnectWise Sell. Quota also integrates with ConnectWise Manage and Datagate. So essentially, there are other quoting solutions as well. But essentially, what's happening here is the quoting solutions update the agreement inside ConnectWise Manage, and we, as previously discussed, we actually can work off the agreement. So we can, once that information has been provided through the quote gets accepted, it turns into an agreement. We can read that agreement into Datagate and bill from there, and then update the agreement as discussed. So there's we become part of the ConnectWise ecosystem in that respect.
Well, in the ConnectWise ecosystem, it's just growing and growing and growing and growing.
Absolutely. And I think the nice thing with SkySwitch, with Datagate, with ConnectWise, we're all working for the MSP. There's a high degree of integration and alignment in what we're doing. So our approach at Datagate is to leverage this environment as much as possible. We're not trying to replace it. We're not trying to change things deeply for the MSP. If they've got an environment that's working well for them, we plug into the side and add the telecom functionality, and that's what MSPs want and prefer, and that's how we work.
What are some of the payment options?
Right. So this is a good question too. So when it comes to receiving payments, the MSP, really, what we're hearing and what I think is logical is MSPs want automation and receiving payments. So we offer a number of different options. So we have a customer-facing portal in Datagate that lets the customers of the MSP log into it with their own login information. They can view all their call detail records. So the customer themselves can see all the calls that they've made through their SkySwitch system. And they can also see the invoices there. They can click on an invoice and view it. They can also pay it via, we've got a number of different payment engines plugged into the Datagate system, including IP Pay, Stripe, Authorize.net, and I know, Kevin, the two that you're waiting for our Canadian audience, which is sort of in process at the moment, are Chase and Monaris. So we're adding more options there to be more compatible with our Canadian audience. Now, in terms of compatibility, IP Pay, I think Stripe, Authorize.net, they can work in Canada. We also have a partner called ConnectBooster. ConnectBooster is also a very strong ConnectWise and Autotask partner, and SkySwitch as well. And what that means is that ConnectBooster will plug into your QuickBooks or Xero or ConnectWise or Autotask system. It can see all the invoices there, and it can also recognize what system the invoice came from. ConnectBooster sends out invoices. It can, so one email can have all the invoices from the various different systems that you may have generated the invoices from. So it unifies all the sending of those invoices, and then you have one link you can click on the email to go back to the Connect Booster portal, and you can see all your invoices there, and pay them with one payment. And this could include IT invoices that came from ConnectWise or came from QuickBooks, and it also include payment invoices, telecom invoices that came from Datagate. So if you happen to click on any of those invoices, it will go back to the original system format to show you that invoice. So if you click on the Datagate invoice, it's going to show you the Datagate PDF invoice. So that's actually another example of a ConnectWise partner that we're leveraging to get more options for our MSP community.
Mark, you've mentioned Autotask quite a few times in today's webinar, and it sounds like Autotask is something new to the overall Datagate family as well as the SkySwitch family. Can you talk a little bit about Autotask and how that's all going to play into the entire mix?
Absolutely. So this is really our hot off the press news that we are releasing our Autotask integration next month, July. And so this will offer very much the same opportunities for MSP as our ConnectWise integration. And so how this works is, as per the diagram we have on the screen, we will continue to bring in call detail records from SkySwitch, do the validation and rating. We can generate the pricing information inside Datagate. We can pass it through to Autotask to add it to an Autotask contract and enable the Autotask system to generate an invoice that can be a combination of IT and telecom if they want to do that. It can be pure telecom. It gives the option, where we can send the invoice out from Datagate to the customer, but we can also enable Autotask to bill, from there. Autotask, of course, will pass the invoice that's generated onto QuickBooks or Xero or other accounting system. Connect Booster is also there as an option, and all the functionality I just mentioned earlier with Connect Booster, so really we're extending our reach at Datagate now to not only serve the ConnectWise audience, but also serve the Autotask MSP audience.
That's great. Well, that means just one more option and one more way to move data between Datagate, SkySwitch, and all of the different services like QuickBooks, Xero, billing platforms, etc.
Absolutely. So it really does, it brings another audience now. With Autotask, it's a very, very popular PSA system like ConnectWise, and it means that MSPs that use that PSA system have got this increased level of functionality and integration, with telecom billing. So really, it's a result of us listening to MSPs and following what we're getting asked for. And yeah, we have other integrations coming up as well. I'll get in trouble if I start talking about everything that we're doing, but we do, yeah. So Autotask is the next one in July this year.
Well, that's great. Normally at this point we have questions from our resellers, but it sounds like you've done such a good job in checking the Q&A and the chat and everything else. No questions. So Mark, that's a credit to you and the entire team, as well as help from Kevin Langford, our SkySwitch man in Canada, who's doing everything. So he's more than just a country manager. He is our guy in Canada doing it all. If you've participated in the live Q&A, or if you've been a participant just tuning in today live, we've entered you to win a gift certificate courtesy of Datagate that's going to be redeemable either for $250 of SkySwitch Cloud Cash points towards the purchase of products in the SkySwitch store, or actually a $500 credit towards Datagate services. The certificate is valid for new and existing Datagate customers. So if you're in Canada and you have a chance of being that lucky winner, Kevin, any closing thoughts from the SkySwitch side about today's webinar?
On the SkySwitch side, we are in the process of finalizing everything with TELUS. So we're going to be able to have a much larger on-net footprint for our Canadian resellers and a phenomenally robust network on that side. So we'll be offering our SIP trunks there. Anybody who's interested in beta testing the final steps of the MMS, we have SMS, we've had it for a while, but MMS, we're just trying to iron up a couple little kinks and off to the races we go with that. Canadian dollar pricing will be available soon-ish. Once we have the merchants and all that stuff set up and lined up, I will be reaching out to all the Canadians and giving them the option to switch their MSAs to Canadian dollar billing. So lots of new things. We got data centers on the way in Canada coming sometime this year, and in integration with the Gentech, they're building that as we speak. So you'll be able to order from our store, drop ship to your customers, just like the American partners do. So lots of great things happening in Canada, and it's all coming together. Thank
Lots
you.
of great things happening with SkySwitch. Thanks to you, Kevin, in Canada. Lots of great things coming to you from Datagate. Thanks to Mark and your team for doing such a great job. Adrian, Usman, the whole crew over at Datagate have just been so easy to work with and so helpful to us. And to our resellers who participated, stay tuned to your email box. Erica Vasquez, who has been so helpful in producing today's webinar, at pulling all the pieces together. She's the one who makes all of our jobs so much easier at telling you all the new things that are happening at SkySwitch. Come back in a few weeks, check out the next webinar. I'm Andy Abramson. It's been great to have Mark Lovies and the Datagate folks and Kevin Langford from SkySwitch with us today. Have a great week, a great weekend, and stay connected.